Hi, I've been away for a little while. In case you didn't see my channel post about it, this video has been delayed by concussion. It's a remarkable coincidence after this same thing happened almost exactly a year ago. I promise I don't mean to be ignoring comments, emails, etc. I'll try to catch back up on all that stuff soon. Anyways, that's it for the pre-ramble, so on with the video. It's a nuclear apocalypse in Springfield Town, and there's only one person who can save us. Yup. Him. That's the guy. Hi, I'm Torin, and welcome to Torin Loves the Simpsons. Today we're looking at Season 3, Episode 5, Homer Defined, an episode where Homer is defined. Let's dive on in. Starting with the humor, this episode actually doesn't have a ton going on, but there are a few moments that really elevate the episode and balance it with the plot to the point where I'm not really sure if the episode is more humor-driven or plot-driven. The dictionary gag is obviously critical to the episode. The title is Homer Defined, after all. I particularly love the bug-eyed photo of Homer they used for it. It's really quite goofy looking. And the final recurrence of this gag actually makes for a great note to end the episode on. I haven't been the biggest fan of the endings of the previous episodes from the Season 3 production run, so this is a nice surprise. Other than that, this episode is one of those that has a lot of nice moments, but nothing that really stands out. I'm gonna give it an A- for humor. As for the plot, one thing I appreciate about this episode is that it drops probably the strongest hints so far of Smithers' feelings for Burns. Smithers is hella gay, but you couldn't really say that on TV in 1991. And the phrase, "I love you," can mean a few different things, so this still isn't an overt acknowledgement of Smithers' homosexuality, but Smithers wanting to kiss Burns' ass goodbye is a bit of a hint. This episode has a really solid initial reveal of the problem, as a background thing while Homer is distracted by donuts, and escalation into a problem that seizes the whole town's attention. I think this is the first time in the series that things have gotten serious during Act 1. There was kinda Homer's search for his brother in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?, but that was played kinda wacky, and there is nothing the slightest bit humorous about the threat of a meltdown. Like, the school scene, seeing the kids taking cover under their desks and hearing Skinner getting a little unhinged over the PA, I just can't help but wonder, what would that be like for that to be your final moments in life? I'm actually a big proponent of nuclear energy as a major component of energy grids in areas where building a reactor is safe, so I don't want it to be used this way, but this episode would make excellent anti-nuclear propaganda. We also have a B-plot centering around Bart and Milhouse's friendship status amid disapproval by Milhouse's mother, and I really appreciate what this episode does for their friendship. Bart and Milhouse have been friends since the very first episode. We see them hanging out together at the mall, which, by the way, remember malls? And Milhouse dares Bart to take off Homer Santa's beard. But during the series so far, the only real good look at their friendship was in Three Men and a Comic Book. But even that was a story about a situation the characters were in rather than about their relationship itself. We're starting to see how important Milhouse is to Bart, and that's a friendship that's critical to too many future plotlines to count. Just kidding, it's 74. Don't believe me? Yeah, that's fair, I made that number up. But it seems realistic, doesn't it? I certainly think so. But even just on its own, it makes for a compelling B-plot here. Of course, Bart's closest friendship is a big deal to him. And I think this episode is very true to how a 10-year-old would react to having their best friend taken away like that. And it's really touching that Bart stops to think about it long enough to realize that Marge stepped in on his behalf and thanks her for it. I really like what this says about Bart, that even though he's a little wild and loves getting into mischief, he really cares and he appreciates those around him. Bart is a complicated character, as all the main characters are, but I think Bart is more complicated than he usually gets credit for. Milhouse is okay, I guess. Kind of a dud. Anyways, the latter half of the episode kinda leans really hard on the B-plot. We had a really compelling first half, and the Bart Milhouse B-plot gives us at least something to give a shit about in the latter half. But honestly, I think the Shelbyville power plant stuff is pretty weak. My guess it works as a vessel to get us to the conclusion of Homer being added to the dictionary, but it's kinda boring and I don't really care. That's a big risk that comes along with a really intense Act 1. It can be hard to follow your intro. I think this episode fell into that trap. Because of that, despite a strong showing early on, the highest I can rate this plot is a B+. The B-plot, however, gets an A+. And now for the final rating. We have an A- for humor, a B+ for the plot, and an A+ for the B-plot, and I'm going with A- overall. It helps that the episode ends on a pretty strong note here, because certainly not all of the episode recommends a rating that high, if I'm being perfectly honest, but it's still a pretty good episode. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video, and if you did, I hope you'll hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to see more. Up next, we have Like Father, Like Clown, so I will see you in that video.